Hello and welcome to Opinions Plus. I want to thank everybody for subscribing and viewing and commenting, especially the comments. There's so much in this world that you have to address, and it starts very small and simple ways. One way is to comment, to address it. As you speak it, as you communicate to others. Lao Tzu, the famous, well, mostly famous, I guess, I'm not too sure how widespread it is today, but, a Chinese philosopher, the Way, the Tao, said, a journey of 1,000 miles starts with the first step. And then my daughter added, but make sure you have a good pair of shoes, which is very important. You can start with all types of good spirit, energy, vitality, joy. But if your feet start to hurt, things get tough, the gravel gets a little rough, that's where you need the shoes. Your determination can go so far, but if your feet are all cut up, it isn't going to happen. So the topic today is hate. Now, how does a journey of 1,000 miles, starting with the first step, lead into hate, or the subject of hate? Well, in my mind, all these things, whether I talk about lying or hope or, your commitment to a party and this political nonsense we have to deal with today. All these things start with the first step. They're all journeys. And so is the journey of hate. You don't start out by hating, just hating. There's usually something that grows into that. I listened to a commentary from a Russian soldier, a short statement he put on the social net, and talking about the Ukrainians. And he didn't mention that he hated them. He did mention that they were his enemy. Now, when you think about that, do you always hate your enemy? Does enemy equal hate? Hate equal enemy? I guess in some ways it does, but in many other ways it doesn't. So he may learn to hate after seeing what happens on the battlefield, seeing what happens to his fellow soldiers. He may learn to hate. But that hate may be only a temporary thing. In a momentary, he might be subject to it momentarily. And I don't mean just for 10 milliseconds, but for a short period of time in your life, until you can understand that hate is of no value to anybody. In my life, I've been close to hate. I don't think I've achieved hate, but I've been close to it because of what people do, because of the situations that they get into. Now, what they do to others is, well, many times abominable, many times horrific. You have this dichotomy in the human spirit: love and hate, good and bad, yin and yang. All these things are mixed to make up a human being, because there's no one way in human existence. The road, the way, the Tao leads you to a certain end, a good end, a positive end, not a hateful end, not a negative end. Hate is negative. Hate is tearing from you, tearing your heart out, tearing your soul. You're non-forgiving. and hate and unforgiving, because, as I've said in many clips, I come from a Christian background. I'm not preaching Christianity in any of these clips. I use it, but I don't preach it. But, Christ said forgive. Forgive, period. That's it. It's not for me to hold issues in my heart. It's for God to judge. But the problem is with me, in my frail humanity, is that I'm just a person. I don't have that unrelenting spirit of love, of giving. Plus, I do believe in righteous indignation, righteous anger. People have been hurt. People have been destroyed. Opportunities have been ripped from underneath people. And you're just going to say, oh, well, another day, another dollar. No, I don't see that. I don't understand it. It's not part of humanity. And some people, they do. Some people. Most people don't. Why is there such, as injustices are done to others or done to yourself, you develop a certain perspective on what you believe is of value. What is your way, your Tao, your approach? Because there's harm done. If somebody's punching you in the face, you're just going to let them punch you in the face? Or do you punch back? And I don't mean a love tap punch back. You're going to punch back. You're going to attack in the majority. There are people that'll just go into a fetal position and let their bodies be pummeled. But most will fight back. There's something in you that will do that. Self-defense, self-determination to get away from this horror. Well, that punching is one type of horror. Actions by others is another type of horror. Whether it's done socially, whether it's done politically, whether it's done in, some business sense. These millionaires who have gained their millions, have not all done it in their good and understanding way and have not trampled on others. There is a trampling going on somewhere. To achieve that level of success, there is a necessity to turn a blind eye to some of the injustices, the unfairnesses, the unfair labor practices in some of these businesses. But that's just business, as Scrooge said. But in Dickens and Scrooge, there's a lot of things, presented in Dickens that are legitimate. It was Scrooge's attitude within himself that caused the sorrow. And, the book doesn't end with him redefining his business philosophy. Although it said, he's going to be a better man and love Tiny Tim and did all these things, which you infer is going to increase a better perspective, a more fair and just way to do business. But not necessarily. It depends on what he chooses to do. He's not going to just lose, 50,000 pounds just because, there's some unfairness going on. He may take advantage of the weakness of others, of his competitors. That's the way it is. And that unfairness may lead to those competitors losing their jobs, losing their businesses, losing their home, losing their families. Does it matter? It's just business. Does that lead to hate? I suggest it can. I suggest a lot of these things can lead to hate. It's how we look at it and what we do, because there are situations in our lives that will cause us to at least elevate our emotions to a hateful level. Now, some people will, change that perspective. Others won't. I did a clip on Hamas. They hate. They hate. And I'm not 100% sure, because a lot of the people that join the Hamas may be haters, but they are not all haters. But a terrorist organization like that hates, no matter who they are, no matter what side. When the Irgun was fighting the English, terrorist organization is, trying to get their freedom from the English domination, pre-independence in the 40s. They hated the Brits. They didn't care. Now, not all, there's many a good book out there about the independence of Jerusalem or Israel, and one should look at it, read it, understand the beginnings, because the Israel today stems from that. It's not that distance, but is it the same level of hate? The kibbutzes and all the things that these people did back then? Wonder. It's a wonder. It's a miracle. They did tremendous things. And even today, the Israelis are doing tremendous things. But is there hate to someone who's attacking them, that butchers their children, as the Hamas did in this last attack? And why do they do that? Because they want to develop that hate, that evil that's within people. They want it. It's part of the strategy. Increase the level of hate, because hate destroys. Hate will destroy you. If you have hate in your heart, it will destroy you. But don't forget that forgiveness and all these other things that many associate with hate is not necessarily hate. It's a part of it, yes. It meshes into that fiber of human life, but it is not truly hate. Think about it. Most of the time, because I bring up, don't have a true answer. There is no one way, I don't think. I listen to a lot of stuff, I read a lot, and there's very few things that are just one way. When you have a belief structure, that's your one way, and that's the way you're going to look at things. But as you use your intellect, use your critical thinking, use the way you approach life, embellish your life with these things, these approaches, it will change. And if there is an element of hate, because true hate is foreign to most, I believe. And whether it's the Russian guy shooting at the Ukrainian, he doesn't hate the Ukrainian. But in seeing his buddies get killed and destroyed, it may be there for a short time. But he also realizes that he's doing the same to them. It's a trade-off in war. So you can't look at that with a hateful perspective, although it's going to be a part of it. So I know there's no simple way. I just bring these ideas up so that people can think about it. Because in this world today, there's an awful lot of things that are bordering on hate, if not there. Especially in this political nonsense we see, and it's not as bad as in some eras of our society, but it's growing. The hate blocks, or the road to hate blocks the understanding. And that's a tragedy for us all. Thanks for listening. If you like what you hear, if you have it has some value, subscribe, send it to someone, see if they like it. Hit the like button for what it does. One of these days I'll actually know what it does. But so my best to you. Take care. Have a great day. Thank you.